But I'll tell you what, this thing is more accurate than I'll ever be. Okay, you know. But if you're gonna know I was there in the morning, that's what I'm talking about. From here to 25 feet, you're gonna know I was there in the morning. And this thing gonna fold you up like a sack of potatoes. All right, everybody. So we have hit the 500 round mark on this little bad boy right here. And I just wanted to make a video on it because you know what? I thought it'd be fun. And if you've been watching my channel for a while now, you know that I got this thing for a wedding gift. My best man at my wedding got this thing for me and had it engraved. As you can see, it's got Yak Motley on the side for my YouTube channel and a charging forward flag on the other side. And I'll say this is a Metro Arms 1911 45, and it's probably one of the coolest things I have in my gun collection, which is actually not very big. I've got it covered up because internet does weird things with serial numbers. But I wanted to tell you that if you are in the market for one, I have taken this thing for 500 rounds, which, if you know, the price of 45, that's a pretty penny that I've invested in this pistol right here. And I am highly impressed with it, okay? This is actually made in the Philippines, I believe. I think TriStar just bought Metro Arms. This is the American Classic 2, full-size 1911, and I've done a ton of research on these things since I was given this thing. I never would probably have bought one, but since somebody gave it to me, it was like my electric bike. This thing is really cool. I mean, it's probably one of the coolest things I own. It was my entry level to the 1911. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my opinions on this thing and would I buy it again and what are my thoughts. But after owning this thing for probably 3 or 4 years now, it's pretty cool. So this thing is basically your normal 1911 45, interchangeable with all the parts possible. It has the beaver tail, which is awesome because you want to make sure you get a really good grip. It's got the nice hammer. It's got, does not have an ambidextrous safety lock right here. You know, locked and cocked is one of those things you got to get used to. You know, everybody will say it's perfectly safe, safer than a lot of things, and it's not going to just go off, okay? This thing's got so many safety mechanisms on it, and I really credit John Browning for this because it's pretty awesome. The idea was to keep a cavalry officer or cavalry man from being able to just accidentally discharge this thing riding on horseback. And they did a really good job of it, but it takes a bit of getting used to. And as you will see, you know, if you don't fully seat, even, you know, when you take the lock off, you don't fully seat, it ain't firing. Like, you drop it, it's not firing. And that's pretty cool. It takes a little getting used to coming from the striker fire world. And one cool thing about this is it has the forged slide. That's what all the reading I've done from was that it had a forged slide. And it was hard to find a lot of information about Metro Arms. It's right there with Rock Island. You know, they're probably made in the same factory or across the street from each other. Rock Island's done a pretty good job with 1911s, and since the patent has came out on all these things, they basically just take a CAD system and a lathe machine and they just cut these things out. It's got the forged slide. It's got a good set of sights, which is really cool. And I've had zero problems with this thing. I have shot 500 rounds to it. I've tried limp wristed it. I've tried doing about everything to get it to malfunction, and it has not malfunctioned. Given I only shoot ball ammo on it because they all fall to the 45 ball, and I think we go a little overkill with a lot of the ammo I see everybody talking about. 45 ball has done the job many of times throughout history. You need to just go on and say that pistols put the holes in things, rifles put holes through things, and a shotgun will rip it off and throw it on the ground. So the tool is what you use it for, and 45 is plenty of good for most everything unless you're shooting a grizzly bear. If not, that's what control pairs are for. Now, I have thoroughly been impressed. A lot of people don't like the handle grips on it. I think they're fine. I actually like them. It's kind of a scaled look. And I cannot say anything really bad about it. I have owned it a while. I've looked around for any type of tooling mistakes on it, which you'll see some on any weapon. Meaning, I just took my Remington 870 apart. It's one from like the 90s era. So many tooling grind marks in it, it's not even funny. And one of my other 870s has got so many tooling mistakes in it. It's from the 90s, 2000s too. And it won't really do too much anymore. There's so many machining errors in it. I've had to grind it down myself and polish it just to get it to work. But that's really, the finishing is what costs a lot. The polishing, the finishing, the tight, small work on it to get it to run perfectly. You can sometimes get a burr mark from any machinist machine. Like, doesn't mean you're not going to get one. And 1911s are notorious for having to do some fit finishing work in the break-in process. This one I've not had to do, and I'm pretty excited about that. You're paying a price point for these things, okay? This gun was late $500s, early $600, and then he had it engraved for me, which was a few $100. And if you were to buy this same pistol right here for that's American made, like a Colt or a Springfield or whatever, you're gonna pay $1,000 for it. And this was not $1,000. And I'll put it to you this way: I would have not paid $1,000. This gets me into a 1911, and it's really cool for less than $1,000. And it's heavy. These are not striker fire pistols that are plastic. These things will also be used as a hammer or a mallet to slap something. It will do it all, okay? And I was very impressed with the weight of it. And when you're firing, that's what makes them so awesome to shoot, is the weight of it. Just it's smooth. The trigger's smooth, and everything about this is smooth. And I enjoy shooting. My mom shoots it, and it operates just fine. I will say that if I were to pick, okay, if I was just gonna go buy a pistol, and it was this versus a Glock 19 or 45 caliber Glock, I would just buy 2 Glocks instead of one of these for $1,000. And I know you're gonna hate on me for that, but I'd rather have one gun, 5 magazines, and a whole bunch of ammo and go and practice with it. But if I was looking for something nostalgic that you want to pull out of the safe and just be like, that's cool, or show it off to your friends, or when you go to the range or the hunting club or whatever, this is it. Okay, or buy a Colt or Springfield, but this is the same gun. The tooling is really done. I was impressed of Metro Arms. I did get Wilson Combat magazines with it. They work fine. I got one cheap Pro Mag. It came with a Metgar, one Metgar. That's it. Doesn't come with multiple magazines. Came with one Metgar magazine, just a regular metal magazine. Shoots fine. I think it holds 7. The Wilsons hold 8. This one holds 8. They all worked. I haven't had any problems with any of them. And so, like, you might be asking, what's the fit and finish with it? Well, the fit and finish is pretty good, okay? Usually when you see if they'll rattle, you'll see if they twist on the slide. I mean, does it have a little bit? Yeah, well, here's the thing about that. Coming from the military, okay, the more precise a gun is, of course, you're going to have some malfunctions because the tolerance is just so light on it. Versus something that's a little sloppy, most likely going to run a little better. Might not be as accurate, but I'll tell you what, this thing is more accurate than I'll ever be, okay? But you're going to know I was there in the morning. That's what I'm talking about. From here to 25 feet, you're going to know I was there in the morning. And this thing going to fold you up like a sack of potatoes. I don't care what anybody says. It's done a lot of times. And so I have a lot of confidence. If I was walking into the Bear Woods, and we're not talking grizzlies, we're talking the little ones, and I got in a fight with Bobcat, I got no problems with this thing. And I feel confident hitting what I'm shooting at versus some of the lighter polymers. I just feel confident with this thing. And if I got to use it as a mallet, I can do that. Safety-wise, with the 3 triggers you got, You know, I feel very confident with it. I'm getting better with the locked and cocked. We don't have open carry here in the state of Florida, so as of now, it's a little too big to carry around town, and it's more of a truck gun. You know, once you get past that, or if you're taking it into the woods with you as a secondary gun, this thing I have no complaints. $500-600. It's interchangeable with any parts you buy online. I strongly recommend this pistol. It has done very well. And I wanted to bring it out and talk to you guys about it because I know I researched a lot about the Metro Arms and there wasn't hardly any videos out there. So I wanted to make it. I would highly suggest buying that for $500 or $600, buying 4 or 5 magazines and probably $200 in ammo, and go get good with it. Those take a little practice because you got to be able to use the pistol. It's not like picking up a polymer rack to slide and let them go. This has a lot of stuff going on. And when you rattle to check and make sure the tolerances are good, make sure you're holding down the beaver tail, because if you don't hold it down all the way, that's where the rattle comes from. I don't know if you can hear that. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the fit and finish. This one's fine. It's great. Maybe in 1,000 rounds it might not be, but right now I'm not going to shoot 1,000 rounds. Ammo's expensive. And if you're saying, well, what about self-defense? I have no problem if there's a bump in the night grabbing this thing and run into the sound of shots fired. Why? Because I've used it. I practiced with it. I spent money to go out there and practice with it and make sure it was broke in. And instead of buying an expensive pistol, I have one that I can afford to practice with. And that's more important than anything, is do take it out to the range and shoot with it. I know that where its point of impact is, took a little getting used to because it's a big boom. And, you just got to think about that. And also learning the locked and cocked, learning when you rack the round, like what it feels like, and can you do it in the dark. No matter whether you're using a Glock or anything, you've got to know how these things are and know, can you run it in the dark. I don't see them outlawing these things they're not high capacity magazines. They're single stacked. They work well. They've been around since 1911. And I think a lot of people still use them and love them. If you're a competition shooter and you're shooting thousands of rounds, tens of thousands of rounds, maybe you want a forged everything. Forged frame, forged slide, forged barrels. You want the high grade stuff. Cool. That's great. But this one, if it has a cast frame, I'm most likely not going to split it. And if you're out there shooting polymers and then you're talking about cast frames, like what are we talking about? You're shooting a polymer or a plastic handgun and you're talking about cast on a full frame 1911. Sometimes I don't understand some of these arguments, like 9mm versus 45. Like, I don't understand your argument. It's a 9mm versus a 45. And if you're putting ball in both of those, and that's the only way to truly say this one is the other one, you're going to tell a big difference between the 45. Now, if you're putting hollow points in them, okay, where it's a totally different story. And I'll probably go out and say, I don't know how this one's going to cycle with hollow point ammunition. I am not going to use hollow point ammunition in it because I feel like they were designed to run with full ball ammo. And you might have to polish a few things up to get that hollow point ammo to work on it. I don't know. Didn't run it in. Seen a lot of guys on YouTube that did, and it worked fine for them. But I will say this thing has run well with full ball ammo. I really like it. And if you're looking at making the jump, this thing will get you in the realm with good sights, cool hammer, a nice trigger for $600, sub $600. And this was two-tone because we got it engraved, and it's just really cool. Really cool. It's got a good front sight. I don't know if you can see it. And that's really it. That's really all there is in this review. I just want to pull out a gun safe and talk to y'all about it. This one says it's made in Manila. and imported by RSA Enterprises. The handle's in the way. But American Classic 2, great pistol. Comment down below if you've ever shot one, if you got a Rock Island, whatever. I really feel like making these things is not rocket science. And if you've got a good set of tooling CAD system, a lathe machine, good machining tools, you can make these things. And you can and most of these frames they're buying in bulk, and they're sticking them together, and they're making a good quality gun because they have cheaper labor overseas, and they're beating out a lot of American-made manufacturers because a lot of the American-made stuff isn't that great anyways, and the majority of guns right now are being made in Turkey. Go Google that. It's pretty wild. But I highly recommend it, and I'll see you guys on the next video.